Hey everyone, welcome back to our Bolivia adventure. If you haven't watched day 1 yet, go check it out because today we are diving into days 2 and 3 of our 3-day tour. We'll be exploring stunning landscapes, encountering flamingos and llamas, wandering around steaming geysers, and visiting places unlike anywhere else. Let's do this! We started day 2 bright and early, driving through endless dusty and bumpy roads to our first stop at the Mirador Volcano Ollague observation deck. The road was rough, but the views made it worth the ride. From here, we had a clear view of the Volcano Ollague. It's an active volcano that sits on the border between Bolivia and Chile. At this point, we were over 4,200 meters above sea level. Luckily, we weren't feeling the effects of altitude sickness just yet. The wind was intense here, so we decided to head inside the observation deck to warm up and try something new. We had no idea llama sausage was a thing here, but we couldn't pass up the chance to try it. In Bolivia, llamas are an important part of traditional life. As they get older, usually around 4 to 6 years, their meat is often used as a natural food source. It's a sustainable practice where nothing goes to waste, and people deeply respect the animals for everything they provide. Surprisingly, it was really good. The flavor was a mix between beef and lamb, but with a slightly gamier taste. It was juicy, and for the price, definitely worth trying. After our snack, we spotted something unusual. This bright green cushion-like plant growing on rocks is called Yareta. It only grows in the high-altitude regions of the Andes. It looks soft, but it's actually rock hard and can live for over 3,000 years. Dried Yareta was once used as a fire starter since it burns slow and hot. It's also been a part of traditional medicine for treating colds and rheumatism. The sticky white resin it oozes acts as a protective shield, protecting it from harsh climate, sealing wounds, and keeping animals away. It's also highly flammable. Next stop, Laguna Cañapa. This lake is high up in the mountains and is home to many birds, especially flamingos. It is part of the country's national reserve. The lake is surrounded by dry, rocky landscape with few signs of human activity, making it feel untouched and remote. And today, we saw the Chilean flamingos. They have soft pink feathers and long necks. Watching them move slowly in the water was really relaxing. The lake is an important feeding ground for them because it has lots of algae and small organisms that they eat. Our next stop is Lake Hedionda, also known as the Smelly Lake, and the name is no joke. It has a strong smell because of the sulfur, but it's full of life. Andean, Chilean, and James's flamingos gather here, feeding on algae in the shallow water. The lake's minerals create a beautiful view, and the white salt deposits along the shore and the milky blue water. The tall mountains and the wide skies around it, making the place feel wild. We had lunch right by the lake with a perfect view of the flamingos, and it was so beautiful. Next, we hit the road to Roca de Viscachas, also known as the Chinchillas Rock. This rocky area is home to the southern Viscachas, a furry animal that looks like a mix between a rabbit and a squirrel. They're often seen sunbathing or hopping around the boulders. The rock itself has been shaped by wind and time, giving it a unique, rugged look. With the open Altiplano around, it's a peaceful spot where nature and wildlife come together. Sadly, this is where altitude sickness started hitting. My head was pounding, and even though I wanted to climb to the top of the rock, the headache made it impossible. How did they climb up there? Oh, here. Yeah. I think it's not a good idea. It's getting higher, yeah. We made our way to the famous stone tree. These rocks have been shaped by wind erosions for millions of years, creating some truly unique formations. The most famous one stands alone in the desert. Its thin trunk and wide top making it look like a tree. The harsh winds of the Altiplano have carved the soft sandstone into strange and beautiful shapes. Surrounded by an empty, Mars-like landscape, the stone tree is one of the most iconic sights in Bolivia. We ended the day at Lake Colorada. The lake gets its red color from the algae and minerals in the water. And we saw even more flamingos just relaxing there. But the best part? The llamas. They were just wandering around, completely unbothered by us. Some were small, others much larger, with thick woolly coats that helped them survive the chilly Altiplano. Their colors range from pure white to shades of brown, black, and even spotted mixes. Many wore brightly colored tassels on their ears, a tradition among local herders to identify them. And of course, they had their classic llama look. Calm, a little curious, and maybe even a bit judgmental. They definitely owned the place. This one was the most stunning places we visited, and just like that, day 2 was a wrap. Day 3 started super early. We were up before the sun, and it was freezing outside. We drove for hours to reach Sol de Mañana, a geothermal field with boiling mud and geysers. The cold didn't bother us because we were so excited to be there. Sol de Mañana was incredible. Geysers shot steam into the air, boiling mud bubbled on the ground, and a constant hissing sound came from the fumaroles. It was amazing. But it was freezing though. My head was aching from the altitude, but this place was too insane to miss. At about 4,900, this was the highest point of our trip, and the thin air made my headache even worse. But the amazing landscape was worth every moment. At one point, we walked through a cloud of steam from the geyser. It was warm and the smell of sulfur was strong. For a moment, I felt a little lightheaded, but it passed quickly. The bubbling mud and the hissing steam all around made the place feel wild and alive. A cool experience I won't forget. The drive after the geyser was stunning. The way the morning light hit the mountains made everything glow. It felt like the perfect start of the day. Our next stop was Aguas Termales Chalviri, a natural hot spring in the middle of nowhere. We had breakfast here, enjoying the peaceful view of the steam rising from the water. We thought about getting in, but with the altitude sickness still hitting me, so we decided to sit this one out. It's a little disappointing, but better safe than sorry. The drive to the next stop was about 5 hours. It was definitely a long ride. On the way to lunch, we spotted some vicuñas. They look like llamas, but are smaller and way more skittish. It was amazing to see them roaming freely in such an open landscape. We finally arrived at Malco Cueva, a quiet, beautiful spot surrounded by rocky hills. A small stream ran through the area, making it feel fresh and peaceful. Llamas wandered around, totally calm and relaxed. After we ate lunch, we went for a walk around, and a friendly dog came over and just hang out and play with us. After a long drive, it was the perfect place to rest. Our last stop was Laguna Negra, a beautiful place surrounded by huge rock formations. We walked a long way along a riverbed where we passed various bird species, llamas, volcanic rocks, and towering boulders. And since there was still some water in the bed, we had to jump over small streams to avoid sinking into the mud and find the best way to cross while keeping our feet dry. When we reached the lake, it was quiet and peaceful. Sitting in the middle of massive cliffs and boulders, the rocks around it had been shaped by wind and time, some looking like ancient ruins, others smooth and round. Their deep red and brown colors stood out against the bright green moss growing in the cracks. We climbed up a huge boulder to see the whole area, but I had to go slow. Every time we went higher, my head started hurting from the altitude sickness.
Oh no, we're climbing up. Okay.
From the top, we could see the lake below us, its deep green-black water shining under the sky. The color came from the plants and algae growing in the water, making it look dark and mysterious. The silence, the towering rocks, and the still, dark lake made the whole place feel like a secret world. We just stood there, surrounded by nature, taking it all in. And just like that, our 3-day adventure in Bolivia comes to an end. From the endless salt flats that felt like another planet, to the stunning lagoons filled with flamingos, breathtaking rock formations, and amazing wildlife. This trip was truly unforgettable. Hope you enjoyed this adventure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. Catch you in the next one.